90-Day Fiancé, Brandon Gibbs' parents demand an apology from Julia Trubkina after feud amid huge milestone in US and impressive health update. In the preview of 90-Day, The Last Resort Season 2 tell-all, Brandon Gibbs' parents, Ron and Betty Gibbs, request that Julia Trubkina apologize for her behavior at the bar. Despite being married for 5 years, Julia and Brandon have been facing challenges concerning their future goals, particularly regarding starting a family. They joined 90-Day, The Last Resort Season 2 to seek professional help, which ultimately helped them recommit to each other. In recent months, they have both been thriving in their personal lives, with Julia launching her new business and Brandon focusing on his fitness. A preview of the upcoming 90-Day, The Last Resort Season 2 tell-all shows Brandon Gibbs' parents questioning Julia's uninhibited behavior at the bar. Julia got on all fours and danced on a tabletop at a bar, despite Brandon's request for her to get down. According to a preview shared by Extra, Ron disapproves of his daughter-in-law's behavior and believes she owes Brandon an apology. He states she should reconsider how she acted at the bar. Maybe she owes him an apology. When Rob Warren also agrees with Brandon's parents, saying Julia was pushing the limits, Julia responds by asking, what are limits? What Julia's behavior means for relationship with Brandon's parents. Brandon's parents want Julia to be more composed. Julia lived a very free-spirited life in Russia, surrounded by friends and loved ones. She has always been an extrovert who loves to dance and party. During 90-Day, The Last Resort Season 2, Julia enjoyed making new friends and participating in group therapy, even mentioning that she doesn't have a huge social circle in the United States. Therefore, she let loose on the show when given the chance. While many fans and co-stars enjoyed Julia's lively nightlife, Brandon and his parents didn't approve of that behavior, wishing she was more reserved and mild-mannered. Fair to assume that Brandon's parents discussed the limits out of love and concern for Julia. Ron and Betty want Julia to have a successful marriage with their son, Brandon, so they are trying to help her understand that a healthy marriage requires mutual respect. When Julia behaved recklessly in front of her co-stars and the reality TV cameras, she showed disrespect towards Brandon by disregarding his feelings. Therefore, Brandon's parents just want Julia to apologize to Brandon so they can overcome this obstacle and concentrate on their future together as a family. Our take on Brandon's parents slamming Julia's behavior. Julia should consider that married life isn't the same as being single. Julia's behavior at the bar may have been somewhat excessive. However, it should be taken into consideration that she doesn't have any friends in the United States and likely enjoyed a night out at a club after years. As a former go-go dancer, her dance moves may have been a little over the top, but she shouldn't be criticized for having a good time with her friends. That being said, it would be beneficial for the 90-Day, The Last Resort star to recognize that married life is different from being single, cancel out some negativity. 90-Day Fiancé's Brandon Gibbs reveals new outlook on life after major relationship news with Julia Trubkina and health update. 90-Day, The Last Resort star Brandon Gibbs is receiving praise from wife Julia Trubkina for his new life mantra after she revealed shocking news about his health and hinted at a split following the tell-all. Brandon and Julia may have looked happy together on social media, but the real issues in their married life were revealed during couples therapy. Julia had cheated on Brandon when they were engaged. Julia also didn't want a baby with Brandon and wanted to get her parents to the US against his wishes. Julia and Brandon vowed to stay married at the recommitment ceremony. Something that Julia revealed much later during an interview was that Brandon had been hospitalized due to anxiety. Brandon's latest IG update reveals how he has been doing since. Brandon shared a happy picture of himself on Instagram holding a little goat. Brandon posed for the camera as he revealed how he planned to live his life after his recovery. "Let's cancel out some negativity," Brandon wrote in the caption. He asked his followers to look at how positively cute the goat was. Julia replied to Brandon by writing cute in the comment section. What Brandon Gibbs canceling out the negativity means after the last resort. What were the negative thoughts affecting Brandon? Brandon talking about letting the negativity in this life go away could mean a lot of things. Brandon developed severe trust issues due to Julia cheating on him with her ex-boyfriend. This is something that Brandon didn't mention during his debut 90 Day Fiancé Season 8. Even Brandon's parents didn't know about it. Brandon could have worried that his parents would stop him from marrying Julia if they'd learned of her infidelity. However, unlike Brandon, Ron and Betty Gibbs didn't think it was that big a deal. As revealed during the tell-all, it was Brandon who was frustrated upon knowing Julia had kissed her ex. He scolded her when she wore revealing clothes. He didn't want her to work as a go-go dancer at a strip club. Julia knew that Brandon's anxiety had landed him in the hospital once. She may have tried not to add to his worries by doing something against his wishes. However, it was Brandon who needed to do away with his negative thoughts first. He may have finally realized that Julia was a faithful wife and would never betray him, leading to his new positive outlook. Our take on Brandon Gibbs' positive outlook on life. What did Julia's recent comment mean? Brandon's post not only confirms that he's doing much better now, but it also confirms that Brandon and Julia are still together despite his hesitation to forget Julia's past mistake. Julia recently hinted at trouble in paradise when she declared she was going to focus on herself, her dogs, business, family, and friends in a caption and never mentioned Brandon's name in her list. Still, Julia's sweet comment on her 90-day, The Last Resort star husband's post shows that she could have just been trying to create some drama to 90 Day Fiancé's Julia Trubkina announces major relationship update with Brandon Gibbs after reaching huge milestone in US and career success. 90 Day, The Last Resort star Julia Trubkina and Brandon Gibbs' shocking new relationship status has been revealed a year after they filmed the newest spin-off. Brandon from Virginia married Julia from Russia in 90 Day Fiancé Season 8. The couple faced challenges due to Brandon's parents interfering in their relationship decisions, while Julia also declared she didn't want kids and wished to resume her go-go dancing profession. Her cryptic Instagram updates and crying selfies made fans speculate that she and Brandon were getting divorced. The Last Resort exposed the cracks in their marriage of 4 years. Julia has shared an emotional post on Instagram, revealing a major relationship update about her and Brandon. Julia took to Instagram to share several behind-the-scenes pictures from the recommitment ceremony of 90 Day, The Last Resort featuring her co-stars from the season. The first was a picture of her kissing Brandon. Julia captioned, "The post, I want to repeat my words from the ceremony, we have a new start." She added that while they were starting anew, they still had a past, which will always be with us. Julia admitted that they couldn't change their past, but they could change their future. "This is precious and powerful," she wrote in conclusion. What Julia's vows after multiple hints at split from Brandon mean? Julia and Brandon have been together the entire time. Julia and Brandon made fans wonder if they were still together due to her hinting at difficulties in their marriage and, yet, refusing to disclose what exactly happened. Julia teased that she and Brandon were not on the same page. However, as revealed during the tell-all, Brandon even agreed to help get her parents to the US from Russia, something he wasn't okay with doing at the start. Julia also agreed to go see a doctor in America for a second opinion about having a baby. The Last Resort Season 2 was filmed in March 2024. Julia spent a year making fans believe that she was splitting up or had already separated from Brandon, even though they were still together. She had viewers convinced she had fallen out of love with Brandon, like Julia not posting about Brandon when she received her citizenship or not revealing how he was part of her celebrating her first major success as an entrepreneur in the US had fans fooled. However, she was keeping up with the storyline and refusing to divulge any spoilers on social media. Our take on Julia finally revealing she's still together with Brandon. Julia doesn't need to hide Brandon from Instagram anymore. Now that the 90 Day, The Last Resort Season 2 finale has aired, Julia can finally confirm her real relationship status with Brandon. She doesn't need to hide things from fans anymore. The tell-all might show her talking about whether she is ready to have Brandon's baby and if her parents came to the US with Brandon's help. Julia and Brandon are one of the most beloved couples in the franchise. Fans will be hoping that everything works out in the couple's favor, even in the future, and that they find happiness together. 90-day fiancé spoilers. Did Julia Trubkina cheat on Brandon Gibbs? Here's what happened. During the 90-day, The Last Resort Season 2 trailer, Brandon shocks audiences by proclaiming Julia's infidelity. The trailer doesn't reveal much more than this, but some clues about the couple, and this scene can give us a few hints. For example, Brandon's parents are involved as they appear on a screen during what looks to be a therapy session. When Brandon brought Julia to the United States so they could marry, there were immediate tensions between Julia and Brandon's parents. Julia accused Brandon's parents often of being too coddling of Brandon. As a former go-go dancer, Julia had big ambitions of moving away to the city with Brandon. While Brandon would eventually concede and move with Julia to their own apartment, his parents would still hold their opinions on Julia, keeping their son away from them. All that being said, it'll be interesting to see where Julia and Brandon's parents interact and their reactions to the cheating news in the coming Last Resort episodes. 90-day fiancé, how could have Julia cheated? There is another scene in The Last Resort Season 2 trailer that involves Brandon and Julia. In this scene, Julia states that the couple is running low on funds. In response, Brandon responds with, "So why stop there? Why don't you just go do porn?" This scene could possibly be connected to the cheating allegations against Julia. The couple's personalities are the complete opposite of each other. Brandon grew up sheltered on a farm in Virginia while Julia was an outgoing go-go dancer in Russia. Even Jasmine comments on how different the pair are in the season's first episode with, "Brandon has the personality of a fart." Keeping this in mind, Julia is active on OnlyFans advertising spicy content and private dances. Considering Brandon's more conservative personality, he may view Julia's source of income on OnlyFans as a form of cheating. Either that or maybe Julia got personal with someone through the platform too. Either way, the topic of Julia's OnlyFans is more than likely to become a topic based on Brandon's comment against her doing porn work. 90-day fiancé, Julia's reaction to the trailer. A few days after the trailer for The Last Resort's new season dropped, Julia posted on her Instagram a response to the cheating allegation. Julia claims in her caption on how the events we will be viewing will be difficult and emotional. The clip of the trailer's caption